We are fresh off of the NFL championship round. We have two wild games that have come to a conclusion. We have our Super Bowl that is set between the 49ers and the Chiefs. Lots of hot takes surrounding that one, but we're not going to really delve into the Super Bowl quite yet. It's 2 weeks away from when we're recording, Monday, or technically 13 days away, but whatever. So we're going to break down and go through some of the AFC championship games, give our recap of what happened, and just kind of do a little reaction show. There's plenty to unpack from both games. A lot of craziness to kind of delve into as well. But casual show, we'll have our Super Bowl breakdown later this week. So if you're a usual watcher of Statletics, then you can find our breakdown show on Thursday. But here we're just going to shoot the shit and talk about the games. We'll start from the top at the NFC between the Lions and the 49ers. And oh my gosh, man, I thought the Lions had it in the bag, but what an impressive comeback by the 49ers. They went, I think, 17 unanswered to down. They were down 17 at halftime, and then they came back and beat them 34-31. And you just felt the heartbreak through the screen. You know, It was so sad, but so impressive at the same time for the 49ers. Brendan, we did get 7.5 right on the Detroit Lions side. It was close. It was close.
Yeah.
They were down 10 there at first, but backdoor cover right there. But how, as somebody who's rooting on the Lions actively that entire time, what did you feel from that game from a standpoint of they were up 24-7 at one point? What do you think happened what went wrong that allowed the 49ers to get back into it? What do you, in your mind, what do you think happened? Just a high level overview.
Well, I think it kind of went towards time of possession in the first half, where the Lions, like I know for a fact in the second half that the 49ers at least doubled, probably more the time of possession than the Lions did. And I feel like it was kind of reversed in the first half. And it was just kind of how, like, the ball fell really in the first half. But I mean, the Lions started off, the ball scored, and they just never looked back. I know Dan Campbell had them fired up from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I thought the 49ers really underperformed in the first half, first of all.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like high overview, 49ers are there every year, you know, and I just feel like they were the more experienced coaching staff in that. And we can talk about it later, but I mean, the 49ers lost that game. I'm sorry, the Lions lost that game. I don't think the 49ers won that game, if you ask me. So,
yeah. No, I see what you're saying. You think the Lions really threw it away more so than the 49ers actually ended up coming back and winning. And, you know, from a box score perspective, that kind of makes sense because, I mean, in just about every, you know, offensive metric, the Lions outperformed the 49ers, you know, 260 passing yards to 258, 182 rushing yards to 155, 450 overall total yards to 413. I mean, it's, for me, I think you said it interesting, like you put it in an interesting way when you said the ball just fell a random way. And it kind of like, you know, you have that Brandon Ayuk catch.
That was crazy.
That highlights that, like, that randomness that was injected into it. And when we talked about this game, everything that Detroit needed to go right went right. Their running game was phenomenal. They took the blueprint that the Packers brought in and ran it even more efficiently than the Packers did. And they had a ton of success on the ground. I mean, looking at the offensive success rate, they had 50% of their offensive plays were successful, you know, and it's just like, teams don't do that against the 49ers. And so everything that they wanted to do, they were able to do it, especially in the first half. And so to kind of go into a little bit of a collapse in the second half was, I felt like it was, the coin didn't flip their way. And it's just, you know, it's sad. If you're a Lions fan, you know, that probably hurts, you know, for somebody who, like, for me, I'm not a Lions fan, and it hurt me, but I can't imagine being a fan of that team with so much that was right there. Like, I can empathize because I'm a Falcons fan. So I feel your pain of giving up a big lead like that in an important game. Let's not bring up the 28-3 story, but I trust me, I understand your pain, but it's, I do see what you're saying, how the Lions lost this game rather than the 49ers won, but I think we have to credit the 49ers for being as explosive as they were in the second half and adjusting their offense. Like,
I do.
And kudos to McCaffrey, because dude literally carried the offense there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah,
like 3 straight
drives. I do want to add one thing, that the Lions came out in the second half real conservative. Real conservative. It was like they were playing not to lose instead of playing to win. It was like a bunch of run, pass type drives. And normally, they have a very good running team, and they can get that done. But when they saw that wasn't going to be able to get it done, Ben Johnson needed to come out of the shell a little bit and actually be a little more aggressive.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of comes down to what you said. I think it's kind of an experience type thing. This is the first time that the Lions franchise has been in that position. And the first time that a lot of that coaching staff has been in that position. And you jump over to the 49ers. This is nothing new. They had been there, done that. They're looking for their, first Super Bowl in a while, but they're not looking for their first NFC championship. They're always seemingly in the postseason.
They're always there.
And so Dan Campbell said something interesting after the game of like this. He said that it may have been the Lions' only shot. And that kind of shook me at first, coming from a guy from Dan Campbell who's like almost too optimistic at times, like annoyingly optimistic.
I agree with him though.
But I see what he's saying. Like, it's not going to get any easier. However, I would argue that it could be. And here's why. This sounds crazy. The Lions have $60 million in cap space next year. They're not losing anybody significant. And the only big decision that they're going to have to face is, do they pay Jared Goff big money or not? Let's say they do. I guess we can also say, does Ben Johnson get hired for a head coaching spot?
That's huge.
Probably.
That is huge.
If he doesn't, like, we're talking a whole different story.
Wheels up.
But they at least have the same offensive personnel. Why, if I was the Lions, why not do what the Rams did and just sell out for the Super Bowl? You have a bunch of young talent. Go and get one more guy on the receiver for the receiver core. Go get another guy to complement Brian Branch in the secondary. Go get another guy to complement Aiden Hutchinson as an edge rusher, and just sell out for the Super Bowl. You have the personnel. Nobody's really leaving. And this team is resilient enough to make it. So why not? I feel like you saw what the Rams did and the success that they found. Why not try to emulate that exact same success and that exact same blueprint?
Do you think Hudson was talking about this last night? Do you think that if they had someone better than Jared Goff, like I mean Jared Goff he's played well this season, but I call him Jared Stink for a reason. I just think he's not very good.
Yeah.
But he didn't show up when they needed him most, and every other piece around it was there.
It's like it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough because you get into kind of the semantics of like, where at the time they're not paying really Jared Goff like elite quarterback money, so they have some room to work with. Hence, for instance, they're going into next year with $60 million in cap space. That's a huge plus. Now, if he does demand that kind of money and you do pay him big time quarterback money, then you get into this territory as like, there's not many scenarios where the Lions really win that situation, meaning he performs to or outperforms the $30 to $40 million a year contract, So and it may not necessarily be winning like in the cookbooks. Like you may not win it on the spreadsheet and in the paychecks, but I will say Jared Goff to this team means a whole lot more than what he would mean elsewhere. And he's got chemistry with the guys. He it's almost like the Dan Campbell effect, but Jared Goff is like the 1B to Dan Campbell's 1A. Like he represents Detroit and the type of football that they play. Now, if you were to hard press me and another quarterback came in and was in the system for a couple of years, like I think their ceiling would be higher. But at the same time, it's like you can't just remove Jared Goff from the situation and play somebody in new and expect them to be as successful as they were and as efficient as they were on the offensive side of the ball immediately. You know, he would need to be in the offense for 3 years to find that chemistry that Jared Goff found. So, I mean, I could argue both sides with that, you know, and at the end of the day, it's like, it's football and it's how comfortable the Lions feel with bringing him back. You know, if they think that, like with the Rams, for instance, Sean McVay's system was hinged around the quarterback position. Like Sean McVay knew that he was not going to win unless he was able to unlock all features of his offense through an elite quarterback. Now with Dan Campbell, where you put together a team that is extremely well-rounded on both sides of the ball, and you have a bunch of young playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and you have a great offensive coordinator who can really utilize everybody uniquely in their own way. Do you really need that elite quarterback? I would argue no. I mean, look at what 49ers are doing with Brock Purdy.
I understand. I was more asking along the lines of like, do you think they would have got it done?
Yeah,
with
no,
a quarterback better than him. But I will say this might be a little premature, but let's go ahead to the elephant in the room here because the Lions played a great game. Okay, let's talk about that 4th and 3 in field goal range, down by 3.
Yeah,
let's talk about it. Do you want to start, or would you like me to?
I'll let you start because I have some comments.
So, Dan Campbell's the kind of coach that I want on my team, that I like. The aggressive, the win it here, lose it here. That's the kind of coach I want. That's the kind of coach he is. But in the NFC Championship game, I think it's too much of a risk. I like literally every time he would go for it in the regular season, I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. But it's the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. And if you kick the field goal and make it, it's tie game. You could stop the 49ers, or if they score, it's 1-possession game. Goes for it, doesn't get it. 2-possession game. Not enough time left.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say on it. I think that if they were to get it, everybody would be praising him. Obviously, it was 3rd and goal, and they handed it off to David Montgomery, and they had to burn one of the timeouts. Yep. And in that instance, they kind of just said, hey, the scoring a touchdown here is more important than saving time on the clock, which it wasn't. That was not the case. They could have kicked a field goal and been in the same exact, spot, needing to recover the onside kick. And I think that was more. I think that should be talked about more than the decision to go for it on 4th and 3, because at the time the Lions had a 50% success rate on the offensive side of the ball. That's phenomenal. That's in the 78th percentile of all performances in the NFL. So I would have done it if I was finding that success. Like, their run game was unstoppable against the 49ers. Like, they were really, like, truly running all over this defense. And so I'm not discrediting them. Sure, the 4th and 3, would I have done it differently? Probably. But I'm not going to knock that as much as I think I should knock some of the later game decisions.
I agree.
And so
those are the 2 decisions, and he got both of them wrong, in my opinion. And another thing is, they didn't even try to disguise it. They lined up in a tight, I formation. Yeah. And at that point, the 49ers, they're up by 2 scores. They're like, let's, if they score, they score. But if they don't score and they run, they got to burn a timeout, and it's it's over. So.
Yeah. Dude, And they've done it though. That the thing is that they've done it in previous games, and it was successful. And I think that's why they were so confident in it.
Yeah,
they could just line up and do it again. And I get it. We just talked about how successful their run game was this game. I don't blame them, but
yeah,
you got to play the numbers there. I get it. Sometimes I myself, we're statletics. We get so locked up with the numbers and the analytics behind it, but you gotta play. You gotta play a little bit more intelligently in that instance. So, but
I agree.
If I'm the Lions, man, I'm selling out for next year because Dan Campbell's right. It's not going to get any easier, and you have $60 million in cap space, and why not? Why not go to the free agency and just scoop somebody up? Get another big name in your receiving core. Get another big name in your secondary. Get another edge rusher to complement Aiden Hutchinson so he's not getting double teamed all the time. They have the ability to do that.
Mm-hmm. If they keep Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator, I think they'll be right back.
Yeah. If they keep Ben Johnson, then I think it's worth getting a futures ticket for them next year immediately.
Now listen to this, okay? You're a coach. You're Ben Johnson here, okay? You can either, you're already a millionaire, right? You can either be more of a millionaire and go be a head coach at a bad team and probably get fired, or cement your legacy as the greatest coach of all time, or stay with this team that you know can win and you're good with, and you young players and everything, keep the unit together and go for a bowl. What do you do?
Dude, I don't know, because it's, for some people, it's not even about the money. It's about the competitive nature that's just written inside of us. I know myself well enough. It wouldn't be, I mean, sure, it would be about the money. That would be an extremely nice perk to it. But at the same time, I want to be the guy who's leading the pack of a really successful team. I want to be the head coach. I want to be that dude that, I'm that can prove that I can take this team to the next level. And so, and it's you think about it, if the Lions were to win the Super Bowl, it's not, Ben Johnson's name's not really anywhere. It's forgotten.
He's got a Super Bowl ring though.
But Dan Campbell, his name is in the books forever.
Yeah.
So you could go be that elsewhere as a head coach. And so, at the same time, sure, that job security, you're rocking it. The stress is less, but for how competitive some of these guys are, I know it's just, can't turn it down.
I guess that's just some beta energy that I'm bringing right here. Where I would so want to be that offensive coordinator and be let's freaking win 8 Super Bowls. Give me a pay cut. Let's just win 8 Super Bowls, and I can be a side piece to it. But yeah, I mean that's dude. They don't think like that though. Like you're saying, all these are coaching at the highest level, so it'll be a tough decision. But I think there's only one head coaching job left, right? It's the Commanders, and it's between basically Mac McDonald and Ben Johnson. So
yeah,
I think So they're both interviewing this week, so we'll see. But gosh, I hope Ben Johnson stays. Oh.
Yeah, I would be surprised if, I feel like the Commanders were holding out for Ben Johnson, and I feel like Pete Carroll being probably helping this Seahawks find a coach. I feel like Mike McDonald kind of fits the bill for them, but we'll see. We'll see. I think the Lions are definitely going to make an effort to try and keep him, but I think I'm a betting man, and I'm going to bet that he's gone.
Yeah. So before we move on, let's talk about the 49ers moving forward here. So Brock Purdy, first half, and second half, amazing, but what do you think that he's going to be able to, I'm looking at this Chiefs man defense. I know we'll talk about the Chiefs in a minute, but I'm looking at this Chiefs really good defensive back unit and what Spagnuolo's been doing, and I'm just can Purdy do it?
I mean, the thing is they have enough pieces where whatever game plan you bring in, they just adjust and go elsewhere. So if Spagnuolo comes in and I'm going to really focus in on closing the middle of the field and Brock Purdy's going to really have to work the edges. Like you have to pick somebody to kind of give up yards to or give up plays to. Like you can't cover Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel,
Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he had a sweet one-handed catch.
Sick.
That was badass. But it's going to be tough. And I mean, the Lions kind of have, like, if you watch the first half of the game, there's a little bit of a blueprint, but you won't stymie them completely. We saw that. Like,
you can't.
With Shanahan calling the plays and the talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball, they're going to figure it out. Even if it comes in the shape of second half adjustments like we saw yesterday, they're going to figure it out. So I think it's going to be more on the Chiefs offense than anything, but kudos to them because we'll pivot. Actually, let's pivot to the Chiefs and the Ravens. The Chiefs scored 0 points in the second half of this game and still won. Credit to Spags, man. Steve Spagnuolo is insane. He outcoached Todd Monken to the max. Like, it was embarrassing for the Ravens offense to go out there. Like, no matter what they did, even like before, like pre-snap, you could already feel that all of the receivers were covered.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh my God, there's no way that, like, how do you cover that? Or how do you like create plays? And it's just like, it was overwhelming what the Chiefs were able to do to this Ravens offense.
Snead and McDuffie are dogs. Dogs.
Yeah, Snead.
Gosh, they're so good.
And do we even need to talk about the Zay Flowers?
We can talk about it in a minute. Line? But I wanna stay real quick on the Spagnuolo, what he was doing. He was bringing a lot of pressure, and they had all the people locked up in the back end. But correct me if I'm wrong, but the way you beat this Chiefs defense is on the ground. Correct? And Todd Monken.
Yeah, I mean,
Todd Monken completely abandoned the run. I want to see the splits real quick. I don't know if you have them up. I don't remember them running the ball more than 5 times in the second half.
Yeah, well, what's crazy is, oh gosh, the Ravens, they were 15th percentile in all NFL games in EPA per play. They had a negative 0.2 EPA per play. They had a 41% success rate, 35th percentile in all games. Lamar Jackson had his worst game in terms of EPA per dropback that he had all year. What a time for that to happen. And, I was always a guy who backed up Lamar. And I will continue to back him up as a really, really amazing quarterback. But you now have to start listening to those who are saying Lamar doesn't show up in big games. There's now, after that game, there's a lot of credit that goes into that statement because the Ravens should have won. Like, and I understand that Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes for a reason, but the Chiefs, your defense held Patrick Mahomes, the guy that everybody is saying is the next Tom Brady, and I would agree, like, sure, but your defense held him to 0 points the entire second half. And you and the rest of the offense couldn't generate enough plays to at least tie the game before the regulation. That is egregiously bad on all levels. The Ravens should have won this game.
I agree. I have a counter to your statement about Lamar, though. About Lamar not showing up in big games. My counter is that people don't think about it. They only think about the players, but coaching plays a huge, huge role in everything.
Yeah,
and
I guess.
Monken called a very poor game because they were getting so much pressure on Lamar, and the receivers were covered in the back end, and they had 16 total rushes all game, and 8 of them were Lamar, and like maybe one of those was designed. 16. If you take like 7 of 9, that's like 9 total rushes that were actually rushes. And you can't do that because Spags was like, all right, well, they're not going to run it. Let's throw the house. The receivers can't get open in the back, and Lamar has to scramble. I don't know how many sacks they had, but I think that's what it was. It's play calling on the Ravens side to where he didn't give the players the chance. And yet, they still almost had it. If it wasn't for Zay Flowers, if you want to talk about that. But,
Yeah,
it's a completely different game. Like, you're telling me the Ravens were only going to score 10 points? 10 points.
Yeah. That and it's just frustrating because Lamar is what, the undisputed MVP at this point.
Yeah,
he's gonna get maybe, but and we were touting Todd Monken the entire year, deservingly so. He just coached Lamar Jackson to an MVP year. The offense was looking great. They just routed the Texans, and it's look what they did to the Lions team. Look what they did to the 49ers at the beginning of the year. It's mind-boggling that this Ravens offense went out and shit the bed as bad as they did. It's just frustrating too, because if you go back in time and you look at these two teams on paper, I'm taking the Ravens again, but I guess the coaching wasn't up for the challenge. I guess this offense couldn't make adjustments like they did against the Texans. So just super disappointed in the Ravens in the gameplay, but good for the Chiefs defense. I think they really solidified themselves into elite territory if they didn't already by their performance of the regular season. It was just phenomenal on all ends. They did super well. Chris Jones had a good game. He did kind of get injured a little bit, but I think he'll be all right. Omenihu did tear his ACL, so that's a big blow. But as long as they have their key guys out there, they'll be good to go. So, but we joked about this. Is this is the toughest, the worst outcome for the Super Bowl. Just from a social standpoint, you have the Taylor Swift fanatics and the Chiefs and the Patrick Mahomes villain story, and then you have the 49ers who I really felt like nobody wanted there. But from a football standpoint, this game is going to be phenomenal. So that's one silver lining. This, and from an X's and O's standpoint, this will be a great Super Bowl. But before we leave, I still want to stick into this AFC Championship game. What happens from here for the Ravens? Similar to the Lions, do you think they can be here again next year? I mean, it felt like their balloon was popped.
I mean, the defense is fire. The defense is so fire. You don't need to change anything on that. I don't know. They've got a couple old heads on that defensive side. I don't know if they'd be retiring or if they're on one-year contracts, but the defense is going to be fine. Even if McDonald is to leave, I think that they'll get somebody in there, and the Ravens brand is defense, and so really, to me, I guess I'm looking at the receiving end. You got Zay Flowers, but who are the other ones you had? You had Odell
Rashad
signed
Bateman.
a 1-year contract. He only played 47% of the snaps in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I saw that earlier, and it's you got Rashad Bateman, who's whatever. What if let's go sign Devontae Adams or something? What happens then? I'm serious. What if they were to go and get
trade for Devontae? I'm curious what the wide receiver pool in the free agency would be next year, because they do have Zay Flowers. He's a great addition, regardless of what you think after the L'Jarius Sneed fumble. I think that was just
such a good play by him.
It was just a mix of bad luck and great defensive play by L'Jarius Sneed. But you still have Mark Andrews who'll be there, and then you have Isaiah Likely. Depending on if Isaiah signs elsewhere. So you have a lot going in your favor, but I do think it'd be in the best interest to try and, make one more star-studded addition.
Yeah.
Whether it's at the running back position or, I guess they'll bring Keaton Mitchell back, who is a baller, but
he's so good.
They're really fine. They missed his explosive ability in that game. They're fine at
RB. They're fine at running back, I would say. It really doesn't matter who they have there. They're getting Dobbins back, right? Also, so they're I mean, they're fine. It doesn't matter who they put back there historically, like the last like 10 years. Like, really doesn't matter who they put back there. They're good at rushing the ball. But I think it's got to be on the receiving end. It's got to be. You got to have someone who will go out and make a play and just get open, like a real stud. Real stud.
After this game, heading into next year, where would you rate Lamar Jackson in terms of QB ratings? Top 5? Top 10?
I mean, who are we putting up there in front of him? Mahomes?
I mean, after this, like, of course, Mahomes is 1. And then Josh Allen 2. I would put, Joe Burrow is 3 when healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert 4.
I'd put Lamar in front of Herbert.
You would? See,
yeah.
Man, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, Herbert has all the potential, and you've seen the spikes and everything, but he just has never had a whole collective. He might have had 1 year where he would have actually been better. But Lamar, over his career, has been top 5.
Would you rather take CJ Stroud over Lamar?
Ooh.
CJ Stroud's over Lamar for me now. I need to see more.
But I mean, you're getting real nitpicky with it. Like they're all right there. You can't say definitively that there are 5 better quarterbacks in the league than Lamar. Can you?
Yeah. It's just, man, like the track record for Lamar in the playoffs, like
it's tough.
It's historically bad.
It's really tough.
And then you have a guy like Mahomes who wins, albeit what he's dealing with.
Let's talk about that. I've got a great question for you. Okay. So everybody always, this is the thing about coaching that I'm talking about. Everyone always gives all the credit to Mahomes. If you put Mahomes not with Andy Reid, you think he's still doing this? Because in my opinion, he would still be great. Okay. But Andy Reid is playing vicariously through Mahomes, who can do everything. Everything.
Yeah,
and gosh, Andy Reid is a demon. Like a Hall of Fame, like he's so gifted. Offensive side, and like you've seen it, they've got like no stars at receiver, no stars.
Rashee Rice, he's grown into one, but
yes,
it's kind of
Kelsey is still Kelsey, but like besides for those two, you just got Jags. You got just a guy out there, and Mahomes is so good and accurate and able to create plays. But at the same time, it's the scheme. And I'd be willing to say that, like, Mahomes, how many Super Bowls does he have? 2? Does he have 3?
3. No, he's looking for his 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah. He's on. I mean, I don't think he has as many Super Bowl appearances or anything if Reid isn't his head coach.
So that's an interesting point because I've heard there's rumors that Andy Reid might be retiring by the end of the year.
Really?
So, yeah.
If he wins, you think he retires?
I do. I believe it.
Mm-hmm. Well, then we'll find out.
Yeah. And, so here's the thing, though.
We'll find out.
I think that Mahomes starting his career with Andy Reid was the greatest thing. It was the perfect mix. It was the perfect storm. And I think because he did play with Andy Reid at the beginning of his career, like that contributed to his legacy. I think he now has not only does he have the physical talent to go out there and just be the best, but now he has the mental capacity to fully unleash his ability against the rest of the NFL. Mm-hmm. So regardless if Andy Reid is the coach or not next year, I think Mahomes has set the bar for himself for the next decade. I think it'll be him in his own tier from here on out.
I'm gonna disagree.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna disagree. Okay. We'll find out though. We'll find out if that happens. But we'll have to clip this and praise me. But yeah, man, that's something that I was thinking about. But we'll have to see. Only time will tell. But I know this is just a recap, so I can't say too much. But
yeah.
What else? What else? What else you got?
It's gonna be freaky. Now, this defense they certainly earned their stripes this game. And so going into next week's game, I think they obviously deserve a lot of credit for how they performed. And I'm very, very interested to see their game plan for stopping the 49ers. And I will end the show on this as like both teams, again, I know socially that we didn't want this to happen. The world wanted the Ravens versus the Lions, and I understand that. I did too. And side note, I'm not an NFL is rigged guy, but
oh, come on now.
It bothers me that the NFL will now endlessly be able to advertise Taylor Swift for the next 2 weeks for profit. Like, something doesn't sit right with me. The fact that they now get to use Taylor Swift as a little, advertising piece to make money in conjunction with profiting off of Super Bowl ads and pregame stuff, it just doesn't sit right.
It's the Ravens. It's the Ravens' fault for making it so easy for them to call those after the play penalties. But come on, man. You know that referee was like hand selected for this game, and he's like historically like home teams like are so much less likely to win. Like, come on, I know you saw all that.
I know, yeah. There, you can throw it into question,
Come on.
It's convenient. It's convenient that this isn't the only time where the refs have been pushed in favor of the Chiefs. You could drive that question. You could drive that hypothesis. So, I'm typically not one to buy into the NFL is rigged, but it just bothers me that the NFL is now they're going to not only make money off of driving revenue from the Super Bowl itself, but they're going to drive revenue from using Taylor Swift solely because the Chiefs are in there. Doesn't sit right. Doesn't add up.
I think the script that they read at the beginning of the season was the Ravens versus 49ers, but they had to audible mid-season for the extra revenue.
They caught on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the colors in the Super Bowl logo matter.
Yeah. yeah. They're like, fuck, everybody's onto us.
We gotta mix this thing up.
Yeah, we gotta call it some favors. Hey, buddy, can you go referee this game for Kansas City? You know what to do.
Golly.
Yeah, no. This is a bad look. Bad look for the NFL around. They're still gonna make fucking billions. So, whatever. It is what it is. However, I will say, from an X's and O's standpoint, this game will be awesome. It does feature two great offenses. One, really for two different reasons. You have an offense who features one of the best quarterbacks that the game has ever seen, and then you have an offense that features just an insane arsenal of weapons and one of the most revolutionizing play caller that the game has seen in a long time. So two different reasons that these offenses are so elite, but they come in and both defenses are also very, very comparable. And so, again, I know we're not breaking down the Super Bowl, but this game is going to be exciting from a pure football standpoint. Now, is the public excited about it? They will be. Not right now. They're a little. It's a sore subject, but I think when it's all said and done, when the game comes, it's going to be a fun one. And the line opened up, and I think it's San Francisco -1. So there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to kind of marinate in as we head into this one. So it's going to be good.
My only question, do you think the line will switch in favorites like it did last year?
Ooh, maybe.
I think it might. I think it might.
I would have to see. Let's go do some digging, actually. Let's go take a look.
It's 1.5 now on DraftKings, so it's gone in the San Francisco 49ers direction. But Patrick Mahomes is rarely a underdog.
Okay, so that's interesting. Because gauging from what Action Network is tracking, 30% of the total bets are on the 49ers, 35% of the handles on the 49ers. So subsequently, that means 70% of all bets that have been made on the Super Bowl spread have come in on the Chiefs.
And it moved in the opposite direction already.
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's weird.
All I'm going to say is, if you think the Chiefs can win, if you're on the borderline here, I'd take Chiefs right now when they're underdogs. Just going to put that out there. It's really early. I think it could change. I think it's switched to Chiefs -1, Chiefs -2.
This is freaky, man. All right, hey, preview for our Super Bowl breakdown. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have plenty to unpack and a lot to discuss. So, guys, we appreciate you joining us for our recap. We will have our breakdown later this week, and we will have a fun little show where BJ and I that we did last year, where we go through all of our really fun Super Bowl prop bets, like heads or tails, what color the Gatorade is, how long the national anthem is. It's
Big Man Tutty.
Big Man Tutty, yeah. So just a bunch of degenerates over here looking to have some fun. So join us for that as well. That will be next week, about a couple days leading into the Super Bowl. We appreciate you watching. We will be back here later.